Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RAMP, Real Access Motivates Progress, live Wednesday night podcast. We are so excited to have you all back with us tonight, and we are talking Whitecross Pharmacy tonight. So with no further ado, let's welcome our guest, Deborah. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Tina. Thanks so much for having me tonight. I really appreciate it.
Oh, we're so excited to learn everything that Whitecross Pharmacy has done from the conversations that we have. They do so many great things, and I'm so excited to share that with all of Rhode Island and the world because we are national. So there are people from across the country watching us tonight. So tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Sure. My name is Deborah DeMar, and I am the community liaison for Whitecross Pharmacy. What that means basically is I'm out in the community, whether it be to a senior center, a nursing home, an assisted living community, pretty much anyone that will listen to me, to share the information about what the services of Whitecross Pharmacy are. We have multiple services, and I make it my job to make sure people understand what medication management safety is and why it's so important.
That's incredible. Tell everybody a little bit about what Whitecross Pharmacy is and what they do.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Whitecross Pharmacy is Rhode Island's oldest and largest independent pharmacy. We were founded in 1933 by the Iacobucci family, and we are now operated by the third generation. So grandson is the managing pharmacist, that would be Bob Iacobucci, and Beth Brown, his sister, is in our manages the billing and all of the behind the scenes operations for the pharmacy.
That is incredible what they do, but tell us a little bit about what they do out and about in the community. I know they do so many services, so if you could tell us a few.
Sure. Well, people often associate us just from seeing commercials or Facebook posts of Whitecross Pharmacy being the med pack. And the med pack are prepackaged medications that are sorted according to time, day, and date. So what we do is we will take an individual's medications and pre-sort them so that once a month, this box of what would be called scheduled medications would be delivered to their door by one of our drivers throughout all of Rhode Island. We also have drivers that deliver the med pack on a monthly basis as far out as Fairhaven, Massachusetts, up to North Attleboro, and a little bit into Eastern Connecticut. And areas in those three states, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut, where our drivers don't deliver, we can mail to those individuals. But we're not a one-trick pony. We're not just the med pack. We also service many group homes and assisted living communities, but the group homes primarily like a product that's called the Med Book. And that's, you can see medications are sorted, and this would be 1 week at a time. And so they're labeled from morning, noon, evening, and bedtime. And photographs of the medications are included on that card as well. What's nice with either of those two products is it's really a grab and go situation. And what I mean by that is I have a roll right here. And if I were going away for the weekend, if I had the opportunity to be swept away somewhere, I could take this roll and say, well, I'm going to be back that evening, 3 days later. I can tear it off. I can roll it up. These are legally labeled for travel. And off I go on my trip, and I don't have to concern myself with keeping medications in their original packaging. The med
That's
book
a
that I
great
held
idea.
up, it's great. So while people associate, oh, I wish I had this available when my mother was alive and I was doing her meds, this is really for anybody. If you take 4 or more medications, having them pre-packed is such a time saver, and it increases accuracy. And the title of this was Medication Management and Trends in Pharmacy. So the trend is, let's stop running to the pharmacy 5, 6, 8, 10 times a month. When you get the call, your prescription is ready. Let's reduce the potential for error by sitting down with that weekly box and sorting every single day, because invariably at some point, someone's going to drop that. They all pop open, and now you have medication everywhere. And
I so understand that, because I do that at least once a week.
Shame on you, Tina. Shame on you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have, like I said, I have mine, and like, I have to close my doors and everything to keep my dogs out, because it's not an if it's going to happen, it's a when it's going to happen kind of thing. So I don't want them, into my medication, but I usually sort them for the week or so, because I travel a lot. What a lot of people don't realize is I travel a lot, and that would be amazing to have. Now, is it sorted by different, like, I take medication different times during the day. Is it
Yes.
sorted in those packs per hour or per time of the day?
So this pack, it happens to be sorted according to morning with the rising sun. I don't know if the camera's picking this up.
Yep.
Noon with a full sun. Evening with clouds and a little crescent moon. And then bedtime. This one happens to have a little man sleeping with little Z's. We also have a sheep with little Z's come. And so this
nice.
says Sunday, the individual's name, the date, and the time, with the time being in the larger writing. Each of these packs, because of their size, can only list 5 different medications. And it has all the information you would also find on a bottle. So basically it has the dosage, the prescription number, the doctor's name who prescribed it, and the appearance of the pill. So while my samples are actually Skittles and Tic Tacs, as you can see here,
Nice.
orange. On the front, it says orange round tab. So if this was medication, it would say perhaps white oval capsule XYZ, because that's the stamp on that pill.
Right.
And so we provide 28 days in a box. Now, for people who for whom English may not be a first language, or someone who takes medications multiple times, sometimes the Parkinson's are more regular with scheduled medications, we can put time of day on it. So we can say 7 a.m., 11 a.m., 2 p.m. For someone who might have a thyroid medication, which they are to take on an empty stomach prior to anything else, we'll put a first morning pack with 1 pill, and then the second morning pack has everything else they want to take.
That's a great idea.
Now, because I mentioned of the size of the pack and 5 medications being listed, if someone were taking 10 medications, they will have 2 morning pouches if they're taking 10 in the morning.
Okay.
We can include over-the-counter medications as well. So if someone's daily iron, their zinc, their daily aspirin, we can add those as well. And sometimes that causes it to kick into the next package, because now instead of 5, we have 10, or instead of 10, we have 12 medication pills.
Right.
We can cut pills. So people who are used to having to do that and sometimes losing medication.
Half of the pill, when you snap it, it goes flying, and then you don't know where it went.
I say we eat the crumbs. So there can be a half a pill in that pouch. And that's a great savings, especially with individuals that might have dexterity issues. They're really,
Absolutely.
they're really simple to open. There's two sides. There's a smooth side on the right facing it, and there's a serrated side on the left. Packs can only be separated from the smooth side, just like that. And then I suggest to people that they shake it, make sure that all their medication is in the bottom, turn it on its side. It's not like a bag of potato chips. Where along the side, anywhere along this serration, the pack can be torn. So
Oh,
a
wow.
person can just tear it open, and now here are the medications that they need for that time of day. And if they need to
That's a
open,
great idea.
yeah,
Well, we already have a question for you.
okay.
How much extra would something like this be on top of their already prescriptions? Like, what does something like this cost? Zero. Wow. Tell everybody
Whitecross,
how they would get involved and how they would get this done.
sure. So the process is very simple to start. Um, a simple phone call to the pharmacy, and that number would be 726-6200. And option two, just pressing the two number, would get you directly to someone in our intake department. And in the intake department, they're going to walk you through what we call our patient worksheet. And our patient worksheet was the demographic information, insurance, who the prescribing doctors are, the medications. And then we set up an account within an individual. And that account is going to be used for any of their copays. And copays are determined by the insurance company, not the pharmacy. It's interesting when someone says, geez, I used to get it over at this pharmacy and now I'm at this pharmacy and it's $5 more. They're more expensive. It's the network within which a pharmacy resides, whether they're in that only in network or if they are preferred. So pharmacies do not determine what your copay will be. The insurance company does.
Okay.
So all of those questions will be asked, and we'll set up an account using a credit or a debit card. On the 3rd of every month, your card would be charged what the copays were for the previous month. What that means is there's no exchange of money with the driver. So I think for individuals that answer a door to, at first it's a stranger, but over time you get to know your driver. But people just don't necessarily want to be digging into their purse when there's a quote unquote stranger at the door. So it's nice that there's no exchange of money, and it would cover anything else that may have been delivered. So you may ask, what else might be delivered, Deborah?
That was going to be my next question.
So other than the med pack that might be delivered, we can deliver all prescriptions that might, you get a prescription for a splint, or you want to order, or you need to take Maalox for an upset stomach, and we can deliver all those over-the-counter products as well, and they would come in a brown paper bag. So in addition to what we call scheduled medications, you might get a delivery of an antibiotic in the middle of the week or the middle of the month because you went to the doctor today and your doctor sent a script to Whitecross Pharmacy. You already have your box for the month. Our driver is going to drive that prescription in a bottle to you, so you have your antibiotic.
Oh, wow.
You may go to the doctor and the doctor says to you, listen, you're on 5 milligrams of this. I want you on 10 milligrams now. And we get that prescription, because one of the frequent questions I get is, how do you handle medication changes? And there are medication changes can appear in a variety of forms. One is, as I mentioned, a dosage change. If it was the end of the month for you and there were only 3 days left in the box, perhaps, we would call the doctor when we got that prescription and say, we'll use you, Tina. Your patient Tina has prepackaged medication and she's going to start the next box in 4 days. Does she need to have this increased dosage today, or can she wait until 4 days from now and then we can have those boxes that your next box reflect that medication change?
Right.
If the doctor says, oh yeah, that's fine, we will call you, Tina, and say, we spoke to your doctor. We're not going to deliver any medication yet, But in 4 days, instead of 5 milligrams, you're going to have 10 milligrams.
Okay.
If there's 15 days left, we're going to deliver 5 milligram tablets in a bottle to you with instructions to take that, one of these at the same time you're taking your 5 milligram, and now you have 10 milligrams.
Okay.
So that's a medication change. Or I discussed the medication addition might be an antibiotic or a new prescription you get, and we'll deliver it depending on the number of days. Everything's handled on a case-by-case basis. And then if something's being discontinued, perhaps the doctor says, Tina, I want you to stop taking that. You really don't need that anymore. We would instruct you to please remove that particular pill from the pouch, and it could be identified from the writing on the pouch.
That's a great idea.
Medication changes.
Yeah. I got a couple of questions for you today. The next question that I have to you is, what do you do for, like, say I called you up and say, I know that my pack is running out, but I'm going on vacation Friday and I won't be here, but I need my medication for vacation. How do you work with something like that? Like when you know someone's going away or not going to be around, or?
Sure, good question. Well, we would hope you wouldn't wait till Thursday when every box starts on a Friday. And so we know everyone's fresh boxes are on Friday. So we're going to deliver during the week of Monday through Thursday to make sure you have it for Friday. So we would hope you wouldn't wait till Thursday to tell us you're going away. As soon as someone has travel plans, they should notify us that they won't have enough to get them through. And we can get a variant, so to speak, or pre-pack for you to go away. Some of our patients go to Florida for the winter, and we will mail that box to them. So,
that's good.
Yeah, and if we can get a month's variance from the insurance company or a waiver to pre-fill for you, we can send you with 2 boxes. But that, again, that's all handled on a case-by-case basis. But generally, if you're going somewhere and you have for a length of time, more than, let's say, 2 months, and you have a standing address, you're not like driving cross country in a 5th wheeler, so we can't find you. As long as you have an address, we can send that to you. And then we ask you to notify us when your return date is, so we know not to mail the box to, let's say, Florida when you're not going to be there anymore. And that,
because I'll tell you, it never fails with me that when I'm going away is when I've run out of my prescription. It's like, really?
I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, and it slipped my mind when I was talking about mailing. Oh, notifying Whitecross Pharmacy of a change of a person's status is important. And what I mean by status is if someone were to have an injury or have elective surgery and they will not be at home, it's important to notify Whitecross Pharmacy of that, because our drivers will make 3 attempts to deliver the medication to the door. If someone is in an apartment building, we do not leave the medication at the door. And very often the office in that building, they don't want to take responsibility for that medication. And we can understand that.
Right.
Sometimes someone in the home will say to us, well, I'm always at the senior center, I'm never home, but I live in a house and the side door has a screen or a milk box. Or some people expecting insulin will leave a cooler with ice in it for us to deliver and to give us specific instructions. And those instructions are printed out on a delivery sheet for the driver to know exactly what those instructions are. If we deliver medication to a home where we know that they're instructed that it's okay to leave it, and that patient is in a hospital or a nursing home for rehabilitation, that medication is just sitting there. So it's important to communicate. One of my jobs is to kind of close the communication loop by calling on social workers and the admission people in nursing homes to ask, which is not a normal question for them to ask, what pharmacy do you use? It's very self-serving. Only Whitecross Pharmacy really cares, because if we find out that we're delivering, their box goes out tomorrow, but on today's Wednesday, let's say Thursday, their box gets delivered. Wednesday, we get a call they're in a nursing home. We're not going to deliver the medication. So
Right.
a person can be put on hold, and then we get a call from the social worker if it all works like I hope it works. We get a call
Right.
from the social worker, or we get a fax that says, please restart Mrs. Smith. She's returning home. And then we get the paperwork from the nursing home, and we wait for the person to see their primary care physician, because often medication changes occur between discharge from a nursing home and when a patient sees their primary care physician. But we will deliver 2, 3, 4 pills in a bottle if that's what it's going to take to get them to the point
The
that they're
next
going
step.
to see their doctor. You did ask about signing up. I mentioned that a person could call. An alternative way would be to go to our website, which is whitecrosspharmacy.com. There's a page that says Get MedPack, and there is a patient worksheet. And the patient worksheet summarizes all the information I mentioned that our intake department would ask. Sometimes it's nice to have that form and then make the call, because then you're prepared to know everything. So you have your medication, your medical cards ready, your Medicare Part D plan card ready, which brings me to insurance. We take all insurances. Let me back up. We take most private and commercial insurances and all Medicare Part D plans, as well as Medicaid. Dual membership, Medicare, Medicaid, Super, they usually have no copay. So many people receive our services and have zero copay, which is a beautiful thing.
Wow.
Yes.
That is incredible. Here's another question that just came through. What do
Yeah.
you do for as needed medication?
Okay. So as I'll talk about what goes in the med pack and what does not go in the med pack. So what does not go in the med pack are medications that are called PRN, or taken as necessary. So those will not, because if you don't know when you need it, how do we know where to put it? So you take it. Scheduled medications, you don't have to call us to deliver, but medications that are taken as necessary, we would need a phone call from that patient when they need it refilled, because we don't know how frequently they're taking it. So we don't know how close they are to running out. That's when they need to call us for that. If a person has a prescription that has no refills left, Whitecross Pharmacy will call the doctor and request those refills. Sometimes we have a problem getting refills, it's just as difficult for us to get through to a doctor's office as it can be for anybody. And sometimes if after a couple of attempts of trying to get a refill for an individual, we may call that patient or their advocate or their power of attorney, indicating we just can't seem to get through to the doctor for that refill. Can you help us? But
Right.
we have a team of what would be called processors on the phone at all times, responding to all the faxes and the e-scripts that come into us, because people are not handing out paper anymore. It's all done electronically. So the PRNs, or the as needed medications, do not go in the pack. Coumadin, or the blood thinners that might be altering on a weekly basis based on blood tests, will not go in, because the doctor on any given day may decide to change those levels.
Right.
As well as the C2 and 3 controlled medications, which are your big narcotics. They don't go in. But something like an Ambien or a benzodiazepine, depression meds, sleeping meds, those are scheduled to be able to go into the packs.
Wow. That's incredible. And that must make it so easy for especially like the older clients or the clients of disability who have, dexterity problems or blind. Now, do your packs have Braille on them for patients who are blind or hard of seeing, or how does that work?
So there are what's called they have all different names, but like dot stickers or textured stickers and different shaped stickers. So we can get different shaped stickers, maybe perhaps a triangular with a rough finish on it, a round, a square, and then a key would be sent to them, or a call from our pharmacist saying, you should have received your first box today. Take that piece of paper that was attached to the box. You'll feel that the morning is whatever it is. It could have dots. It might be 1 dot, 2 dots, 3. We did at one time have Braille stickers, and I really can't speak to whether we're stocking them now, but they could be made available if an individual needed them. We handle those types of needs on a case-by-case basis. I recently presented at OSTL and had a very nice turnout there. And most of those individuals were visually impaired. At one time, we did have a blind gentleman who took medications only twice per day, morning and bedtime. And so we ran morning packs on one roll in one box and put a sticker on it so he knew that was morning, and then packed the bedtime on its own roll, and he kept that box in his bedroom. So he didn't have to concern himself, where am I taking what, or am I taking the right medication? Yeah,
That's a great idea.
for people that can still see color, we have colored stickers that we will place on each individual pack as well, so they learn to take their medications by color. Perhaps a yellow dot for morning and an orange dot at noon. You get the
Right.
idea.
Now,
Yeah.
how long does it take for somebody to onboard and switch over from the medications that they're doing now to onboarding with you? Because you know that they're going to have medications and stuff at home. So it's not like they can say, I want to start this week, tomorrow. That's not always the case, or is it? Like, how does that work?
Well, you're right. Certain medications, if they're not ready to be filled because they've just filled it, we can't even put into the insurance company. We can't run it for them because it's not ready to be refilled. It's too soon to refill. When that is the case, we will know that because we're going to contact their existing pharmacy where they're filling. We're going to ask for transfers of prescriptions from that pharmacy to us. It happens all the time between all different pharmacies. We're going to call the doctor for any refills, but if we find out that something was just filled for 90 days, then we are going to call that patient and say, for the next 90 days, we're not going to be putting it in the pack. So you're going to have to remember to take that pill, let's say morning, with your morning packs, and we will know when it's ready to fill, or you can give us a call when you have, let's say, a week left of that medication, and we can fill it. So that's how
Oh,
we
that's
handle it.
incredible. How often, I mean, you must service all of Rhode Island, like you said, you service so many people, but how many people sign up and find this transfer easy? Or do you have a lot of difficulty with the transfer?
The only time it's really difficult is when someone is referred to us, maybe by a loved one or a caregiver. One of the things we do is we get consent from that individual. It's part of our process. We must call and get consent. Sometimes the consent comes from the patient themselves, or sometimes they have an adult child living with them and that person's power of attorney, and they're the one overseeing everything. And that's not a problem. The problem is when the individual really doesn't want it, because they'll say, I don't need that. I've been doing it this way my whole life. I know exactly what I'm doing. And people feel as if we're taking away their independence, when in fact, what we're really doing is giving them independence, because they don't have to rely on someone to pick up the meds and sort the meds and maybe give them their medications. So that can be a challenge, getting consent when a healthcare worker, perhaps someone coming into the home as a service, says, "Oh, Mr. Smith, you should really do this." I don't know. Okay, I'll do it. And then we call and they go, "I don't want that." And so we will reach back to the person who made that referral, maybe from a home care agency, and say, "Well, Mr. Smith just said he doesn't want it. We're not going to go through the process of doing it if he's just going to dig his heels in and say, I don't want to do it that way."
Right, that makes sense too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting question. Somebody would like to know is, do they have to tip the driver, Or should they have it just left because, they don't want to have money out or don't know how much to tip or,
No, I don't. I think it's a very personal thing. I don't know if everybody does. So many people have it left at the door. Again, not in an apartment building, although you could designate a neighbor who you know is always home if they're willing to receive the bag. Um, it's just kind of a personal thing. I imagine some do. I'm going to guess more often than not they don't, but I can't speak to that. I've actually never asked the drivers, but I'm going to have to next time I see them.
Yeah, I'm just curious what that question is because again, you're dropping it off to the elderly or the people with disability, and if they're taking money out, you always run that risk. Not saying that it's the drop, but you
I
always run
know.
that risk of somebody being taken advantage of or them pulling the wrong bill out of their wallet. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
No,
and, and
I
stuff like that, or feeling that they have to tip like that. You know what I mean when they're dealing with medication and stuff like that. Because like I said, I would know I would want mine left only for the fact that I can't get to my door easily.
yes,
My house will, number one, you'll ring my doorbell and my three alarms will go off, my Great Dane, my Pit Bull, and my Aussie Shepherd.
okay,
So between trying to fight my way through them to get to the door,
yes,
because they go on security mode that, someone's here, I usually have most of my stuff that I have delivered left because I don't want to have anybody waiting outside or waiting on me to get there or what
sure,
have you. But
yes,
then I feel bad. Should I have tipped? Should I, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Again, it's a very personal issue and based on
but the
accessibility.
driver's not expecting one, is what I'm saying. Like, the elderly
That's
do
very
not
true.
have to feel that if this is their only means of getting their medication, it is not something that they have to do.
It is not something they have to do. No, no. I wanted to mention something else that's pretty special about the way White Cross Pharmacy handles the med pack. We have invested a great deal of money into capital equipment, obviously, because much of what we do is computerized or done robotically, managed and overseen by our pharmacists and our pharmacy technicians. But for safety and accuracy, we have invested in a computerized camera that is programmed to know what every medication looks like. And this pack or an entire roll for a month gets fed between the rollers of this feeding the camera. And this computerized camera takes a picture of both sides of the pouches. There's a barcode. I don't know if you can see that. There's a barcode on the
Yep.
bottom of the pack. It identifies everything about this pouch, whose it is and what's supposed to be in there. It takes a picture of every pouch, and then it sends a digital images of those photos to a pharmacist sitting in a separate room in front of a large screen, and they receive a basket with that patient's medications in it. And while they're looking at that screen, they are seeing each pouch with either a red, a yellow, or a green line around it. Green means, according to the barcode, everything is in the pouch properly. Yellow means, something's questionable about this pouch. And red means something is wrong. So, what could be questionable? Perhaps when it went through the rollers of the camera, it didn't flatten the pill out, and the camera could not read the imprint on that pill because it's reading for that imprint. Or perhaps it's a gel style caplet that might have like a clear gel, like a vitamin E or anything else that would be a liquid tab. The light shines through, it cannot read that imprint. And then red means there's something very wrong here. Perhaps it's supposed to have a pouch has 2 and the next pouch has 4. And instead, it has 1 and 5, which means the pouch didn't close, it jumped into the next pouch. So there's a discrepancy between either number of pills or what is in there. The pharmacist will take that roll and sort through it to find that particular pouch and flag it and send it back to the pharmacy for correction. So it's manually corrected and then fed through the camera again to show that everything is green, and then we know it's good to go. We hold
Wow,
on to,
that's great.
and then we hold on to those pictures for 45 days. So should an individual be opening packs and saying, or a pack and say, oh, my Ambien wasn't in there. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. They can call the pharmacy and say, it says that the Ambien is in there, but it isn't. And we'll say, ask what pouch is it? And we can access the photo and show them what it looked like when it left us. So maybe they dropped it.
Right.
But we would be able to show them to prove that, in fact, when it left us, it was there. And it helps to keep paid caregivers a little honest, I think, because
Yeah.
if there's a medication,
Well, I mean, that's the same thing too, because if you're working with the disabled and whatever, I mean, it's a world that you got to check everything. So if you have PCAs and caregivers coming in and out of your house and you have a controlled substance in your house, or a grandchild with the opioid issues that we have going on now that's taking grandma or grandpa's pills or something, you at least have a backup saying, we sent it all to you, so somebody's taking your pills or they're all over
Right.
your floor and your dogs are eating them. So if
Right.
your dogs aren't acting funny, then check the people that are around you that can talk to. So I mean, that's a great backup for not only for you, but for the people who are receiving the pills to
Yep.
know who's around them and holding everybody accountable for
Right.
what's going on.
Yeah, well, I will just remind you that the opioids fall into a class of drug that is not going to be in that pouch. We can package them in what's called a single dose blister card. It looks like a little bingo card, and you can punch out a single pill, and that would show that, in fact, there was a pill in that holder,
Right.
in that sort of capsule.
Yep.
But again, just to refresh people's memory, that the opioids do not go into the med pack and commingle with the other medications.
Right. Here's an interesting question. What do you do with unused prescriptions? Do you take them back to get rid of them?
What do you mean by unused prescriptions?
Well, say somebody passes away, or say somebody, like you said, isn't using that prescription anymore, or they've got weaned off it and they're done with it, and they have these extra pouches at home. What do they do with them?
We don't take back. The only time we take back a medication is, let's say you're in a rehab for 2 weeks. We've just delivered a box. It hasn't been touched by human hands, and we can take those back and reuse them for you. We can do that under less than 30 days. But under the situation whereby someone would pass away, or they discontinue taking the medication, we suggest that they discard of it as they would any medication they no longer took. And there are certain pharmacies that have a take back program. They have a box outside, but we don't pick up and do anything with those. Some people deliver them to, like, sometimes the fire department has a take back day, or a police department does. But Whitecross Pharmacy does not do that. It's a good question.
What do you suggest is the best way for anybody listening today? What is the best way to discard of that medication? Like I said, if they can't get out of their house and they can't go to a take back program, what is the best way to discard of that medication safely so that they know it's not falling into the wrong hands?
If you have a kitty litter, you can mix it in with kitty litter, because it becomes very unattractive in kitty litter. Also into used coffee grounds, and bagging it, sealing the bag, and then discarding that altogether. It's less likely that anyone is going through coffee grounds or cat litter.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people flush it, and I don't know if that's the best way of getting rid of
It's
it.
not a good way at all. No, it isn't.
Yeah. This is all great information, and I don't understand why anybody wouldn't use a service like this, because it just makes it so easy for you. And again, like, you think people would say that they're losing their independence, but it's true that they're actually gaining it. And I'll tell you, I would love those packs for when I go away. Number one, if the nice thing about those packs is when I go away, I'm maybe not in my hotel when I'm supposed to be taking my pills, or there's always, what do I put it in? What do I pack it in? How do I bring it with me? How do I know what time of the day it is? That you can say, okay, I'm going to be out for the afternoon. I'm going to take these 2 packs with me. And then I'll be able, so I find it that it would be an easier way of doing it. tell everybody what the phone number, website, and all of the contact information,
Sure.
so that way they can get their information, find out how much it's going to cost. I mean, it's
Okay.
no extra cost than your prescriptions, but you
Right.
know, like you said, prescriptions cost differently depending on who you use.
Yeah. Okay. Before I do that, I'm going to give you a website or a link, and this is for a new opportunity that's available through White Cross Pharmacy, whereby we are now offering to anyone. They do not have to be a White Cross Pharmacy patient. Health and beauty products online delivered to the door by our driver within 2 days. If they make a $15 minimum purchase, there is no delivery charge. When you log on the first time and create an account, you can save $10 off your first purchase. And I'm talking toothpaste, hairspray, briefs, wipes, barrier creams. I know there are big places online that start with the letter A, that Amazon, that people order from. I don't know how many people use it for just the basics such as that. And so basically you log on to shop.whitecrosspharmacy.com and can peruse all of the products that we have. Our products, we were given an opportunity to choose a price point that we would sell at. And so we're selling them at Walmart prices. So you're getting what you would otherwise get going in there into that store at their prices. Plus, there are specials like a buy one, get one free for your vitamins, things like you find in the other big box pharmacies. So I would encourage people just to go on and explore and get your hairspray and your toothpaste and shampoo and all that fun stuff.
Oh man, now you got to make this so much more easy for me, because I still need all of that stuff when I'm stuck at home and I can't get out. So, you know, that's incredible. But give everybody
Yeah,
all of the
happy
contact
to.
information.
Sure. So our website, where you can see all of our services available in one place, as well as print off the MedPack worksheet, is a White Cross Pharmacy, all spelled out, .com. Our phone number is 726-6200, and new patients just have to press 2 to speak with someone.
726 what? 6200?
Correct. And
I'm
the
putting that in
option,
the chat as we're speaking.
sure, thank you. Option 2 gets you to our intake department, and a person can be walked through all the information online. I didn't answer one of your questions. It takes for up to 14 days to get that first MedPack box delivered. Once we get that initial phone call, we're going to call the doctor, get a med list. We're going to transfer prescriptions and coordinate everything to be produced and delivered to you within the first 14 days. And you'll get a phone call when that first box is coming. We do have a fax line if someone chooses that they'd like to fax us, and that med sheet, if it filled out, can be faxed back to us. And that's 401-351-5902.
Perfect. I mean, this is so incredible. I don't know why anybody would not want to use this. Give us, while we're nearing the end of the hour, give us
Sure.
your 1-minute wrap up of why people should use White Cross. I mean, if they haven't figured it out by now, but you know, give us your 1-minute plea of why everybody should use White Cross Pharmacy.
Okay, let's start with please shop local. Support businesses that have been supporting Rhode Island since 1933. That would be a good start. Dedicated people doing dedicated work. We are reducing hospital readmissions and falls by keeping people on their medication regimen, because mismanaged medication is one of the #1 reasons why a person falls. They didn't take their medication and they can't remember if they did, so they take it again, oops, and they fall. Or they don't take it at all and they get dizzy and they fall. So safety, #1 is safety. #2 is for convenience. Greater independence and less reliance on other individuals to do for you what you can now do for yourself. I don't know if that's a minute, but that's pretty much
That
why.
is absolutely incredible. I wholeheartedly believe in this, and we are going to talk offline
Yeah.
because this is something I'm going to be looking into myself, because this would make my life a whole lot easier, especially with the dog situation and
Yeah.
everything that I have going on. You know, it's just so incredible. So thank you so much for taking the time tonight
You're
and, you
welcome.
know, coming out and spreading the message. And if everybody forgets all of the contact information that Deborah just said, they can contact me and I can get you in touch with Deborah. So just message me and I will make sure that I send those messages along to Deborah. But I did put the website and the phone number and everything in the chat. But again, if you forget or you're watching it from a different stream that you don't see it in the chat, make sure you reach out to me and I will get you in touch with Deborah. And this is such a great, so thank you so much, Deborah, for joining us tonight. And I look forward to continuing partnering with you and giving updates on everything that you have going on.
Thanks, Tina. I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks so much.
And as always, I welcome you all back next Wednesday night. Next Wednesday night is a charity that is near and dear to me. We are talking Big Brother, Big Sister of Rhode Island. So same time, same channel, 7 o'clock on Wednesday night. Make sure you're checking us out. And as I always say, don't just sit there, make a difference. Have a great night, everybody.